Farah Hannoun for MMA Junkie here at London Shoot Fighters alongside Michael Venom Page. Mike, how are you?
I'm very good. Just finished a session, so a bit tired, but good.
Last time we saw you in action, it was against Goiti Yamauchi, another gnarly finish. Talk to me about that fight and that finish.
Yeah, it kind of all happened very quickly. I've gone in there, I've kind of had a game plan. It's weird because I was speaking to my coach just before as well, because I don't like to watch my opponents until near enough, right up until the fight. So literally the night before, a couple nights before, I was watching some of his fights again. I'd seen him before, obviously, we fought on the same shows many a times.
Yeah.
My coach is giving my game plan, but just at the end, I just like to reconfirm what they're saying. And I noticed that he circles, towards the right hand a lot of times when he's under pressure. So I felt that would be a good way to start the fight, is put him under a lot of pressure, have him backing up, circling to my right, and landing loads of low kicks that will pay off for me later on in the fight versus what actually happened. So again, put a lot of pressure, exactly what happened, what I thought was going to happen, happened. He started circling to his right, landed one of the kicks, quite heavy. He carried on circling and landed another kick, and he fell. But it's weird, like I thought it was just a good kick. I didn't actually know. And then when I saw him clasping his leg, then I was like, oh, it's done. So I was like, when I started celebrating. But then when I watched it back on camera, I was like, shit, I didn't really realize it was that bad. But I've spoken to him since as well. Surgery went well. He's back on his feet doing like some basic drills and stuff. So I'm looking forward to him getting back in the cage.
And you've had a few of those type of finishes. Which one you feel like made you go like the most?
Every single one. Every single one. And when you're when I'm MVP and I'm in the mode, in that mode, I'm in the moment. You're in the zone. So it doesn't really matter what's going on. But then when you watch it back, you're yourself again. You watch it back, and every single one of them, the cyborg, the nose, the knee, every single one of them is one that it's still hard to watch.
Yeah, and you hold the record for most knockouts Bellator history, most in welterweight history in Bellator. Which one's your favorite?
Favorite knockout? It's very difficult to select one, but I'd say my most popular one is the cyborg finish, so I'll go with that one.
Is there anything left that you want to do in the cage in terms of a knockout, a type of knockout, something you practice that you haven't done yet?
I've got quite a few big fancy kicks that would go super viral if I land it. So there's loads I want to get done.
And what do you feel like is next? Because obviously you're top ranked. Before Goiti Yamauchi, you had that close fight against Logan Storley. Unfinished business with Amosov. You guys were booked to fight. Is that what you would like next?
Yes, it is, but things have changed recently. When I say things have changed, out of contract. So as much as that is a very exciting fight, and it's still in the back of my mind, and it's very tempting. I'm looking to kind of test free agency just to see my worth. And then, I might end up going back to Bellator anyway. And then that is 100%, the direction I want to go in. But until then, for right now, which is probably why I'm a bit quieter at the moment, for right now, it's a free agency.
You haven't, I know you can't talk about much, but have you been in discussions with other promotions?
No, not as of yet, because again, there's a certain period that you have to allow for Bellator to, those conversations first. And, I'm a man of my word. It doesn't even have to be in contract or in writing for me to do it. If that's what we've kind of agreed upon at the beginning, and that's what we're going to do. And then, soon I'm going to be speaking to other people just to kind of see what's out there.
And you competed at Bareknuckle before. What was that, like a one-fight deal type of thing, or what was that agreement?
Yeah, that was just a one-fight deal. And again, thanks to Bellator, I was allowed to even do that because they were booked up, didn't have any spaces for me to kind of jump in after my last loss. So, I'm eager to get back in. I want to try and redeem it, get back to that #1 ranking, and then go back for the title. But they didn't have any slots. They was fully booked up. So they allowed me to kind of go off and do this one. It may be something I want to do again. Most of my family and friends are probably be against me on that one. But it's definitely something that I might do again, simply because I don't like to go out on a loss, even though I don't think I lost that one. But that's another conversation.
I'll talk more about that in a second. But you've boxed, kickboxed, bare knuckle, MMA. What piques your interest the most at this point in your career?
I love fighting. I just love combat. I love turning into that person. You know, I love feeling that energy that I get walking down a ramp towards cage, ring, mat, whatever it is. I love the energy that I pass to the crowd passes back to me. For me, it doesn't really matter as long as I'm performing. You know, if I could sing, it'd be the same. I'd be out there singing and put on a show. So for me, it's that whole atmosphere that gets me more than what I'm doing.
And in terms of MMA, what do you feel like your goals are? You've obviously achieved a lot. I listed some of your records. You personally, what kind of is the biggest goal right now for you?
I think it's just making a stamp on it. If I haven't done so already, I think it's making a stamp on the sport, putting my style, giving my style a stamp on the sport. And I'm starting to see more people doctoring the movement style, the bounce, the blitzing forward, and actually taking that side serious. Whereas before they would have looked at, you know, that my style of fighting and been like, no, that's not good. That's not going to be good enough. Where I think now, you know, people really do respect my art and where I come from. And it's just a case of growing up, being as big a name as I can possibly be. And I think, you know, hopefully titles and everything comes with that. But it's just being as big a character as possible.
Who are some of the guys that you like to watch?
Oh man, there's loads. I'm a fan of fighting. So across from kickboxing to boxing, obviously mixed martial arts, there's loads of names that I could name. I'd be here all day. But I just love. I find people in there, even like Goshi, my last fighter. I was like, if you actually just watch him in his speciality, what he does in the cage and how he brings his style to the cage, amazing stuff. Like jiu-jitsu is amazing, you know, when people are using it, but when certain people use it, you're like, wow, like jiu-jitsu is amazing. Same with wrestling, same with kickboxing, same with like, you can tell when you see a specialist in something, you can just really appreciate it.
And back to Bareknuckle for a second. You said you felt like you won that fight. And usually it's a bit different, right? The no gloves and everything. You look pretty decent compared to some of the pictures we see of guys with Bareknuckle skin hanging off. And some people seem to love to watch that stuff. But you had a little bit of a swollen eye and a lip. But how was that in terms of damage in comparison to all the other disciplines?
Oh, well, for me, for that fight, because I already take damage anyway, but for that fight, it was, you know, I got caught early and it changed the whole narrative of the fight. It made... You know, he almost took my legs away quite early, which was just unfortunate for me. It meant I had to just have a fight, which is where I know I can do it. And it's something that my coach has been telling me from the beginning. He's like, you know, if we relate it to, like, say, UFC, he's like, I'd never want to see any of my fighters get fight of the night for that type of fighting. You can get submission of the night, you can get KO of the night, but fight of the night means you're just taking too much damage. And he doesn't want to see that. And unfortunately, because of what happened earlier in the fight, you know, I had to kind of go to plan Z and just stick it out with him. But I still felt like I landed way more shots. And, you know, I had to watch it back because I think the fact that I just got hit that many times, I was just kind of like, fair enough, maybe, you know, he got it. But when I watched it back, I was like, nah, like, I don't understand what was being scored, because I don't know if it was a case of everyone was just shocked at how much he was able to land on me, full stop. And it was just, oh, man, proud of him, so let's give him the win. But I'm actually looking at every round, looking at the amount I actually landed and versus the amount he landed, and yeah, I definitely won that fight.
When you talk about wanting to do Bareknuckle again, specifically rematching Mike Perry, or are you good if you don't fight him, you just want to get back into Bareknuckle boxing?
Oh, I'd like to fight him again. But at the same time, yeah, both. I'd like to fight him again, but I'd also like to just, you know, experience that again. So it's definitely not a door closed for me. Probably won't chase it down, but it's definitely not a door closed.
Are you surprised to see his success in bare-knuckle boxing?
No, not at all. He's I think he's found something that just fits his style of fighting. You know, he's a talented. When I say talent, he's talented. I think he's just a really tough man. He's some shots that I landed on him, I was just like, damn, you're a tough man. So it's not surprising, to be fair. He's found his comfort, and I'm glad to see him. He's actually a cool guy. I'm glad to see him doing so well in that area. But yeah, and you can see even from his last fight, like it's not made for certain people. I think a lot of people would have thought that about me, but I can get to the nitty gritty if I need to. But I could see even with Rockhold, every shot he was like, I don't want to be here. It was more the mental side of it for him, whereas I don't mind getting hit. As much as I don't get hit, I don't mind getting hit. So, but yeah, so I definitely could thrive in that area as well.
Are you surprised to see a lot of people go to Bareknuckle in terms of the latter part of their career? Because it's such a brutal sport, but for them to want to end their career there, or do you think it's more kind of the contracts and stuff?
It's definitely the contracts, and this is an issue nowadays. So, for example, if I relate it, little sidestep, I relate it to football. You're starting to see people at the end of their career go to Saudi Arabia. There's a reason for that. There's a big reason for that. Now, these things wasn't happening before. You know, they probably end up at five-a-side or Sunday League football, and now they're still with major contracts. Probably the biggest contracts they've had in their whole career at the end of their career. So it's the same thing. I think if people, not relating to kickboxing anymore, but I think if in MMA they were getting paid well enough, then you wouldn't see these type of transitions. People would be comfortable doing what they've always been doing well at, and just stay there. And then at the end of their career, they won't be desperately looking for more funds, because they should be set up better. And the amount that we put in, the amount we kill ourselves in the gym day in, day out, we should have an end for us to be able to feel, good about what we've achieved financially as well.
Yeah. And one last one before we wrap up. Can fans see MVP competing before the end of 2023?
100%. I don't know what it's going to be in, but I'm definitely going to be competing. We're in a lot of talks. We're starting a lot of talks now about exactly the direction I'm going to be going in. Like I said, free agency at the moment. So but it's looking up, I am MVP, so something's going to be coming.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.